Hey guys, DJ Sam Withers here. Welcome back to another video. Before we get stuck into it, make sure you like, click the subscribe button and turn that bell notification on and enjoy. First of all, hello, how are you? Nice to finally, meet you, or like video meet you.
Yeah, no, I'm great. Nice to meet you as well. Obviously, I've been seeing your content a little bit in the space. I've been retweeting you as well from Axie Official. Even though it might seem like Jeff is the only one who has access to that Twitter, I actually have that too. So I try to pay a little bit of attention to what's happening there. Let me see if I can retweet myself there as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that because it's funny. I DM'd the main account and then someone said, yeah, Alex retweets your stuff. And I'm like, oh, God damn, I love Alex. So it's been very good.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. I appreciate the support.
Top secret though.
Yeah, of course.
Or I'm getting spammed. I do try to, be a little bit active in the community, but at the same time, I have other obligations as well. So there is a limit to how much time I can spend. And I think that's, the difference between maybe my role and Jeff's.
Sure. I assume you guys are both busy as anything anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, first off, I want to say welcome to the stream. I know you've done a bunch of podcasts, and I know the community really, really appreciates this. As like I said, you are a busy guy, and you do multiples of these. So instead of doing a normal podcast where you would introduce yourself, I sort of do this thing where I'll introduce yourself for you, and then you could sort of clean up where I go wrong, where I've got the wrong information from. I swear I'm not stalking you or anything like that, but it's just what I find from other podcasts or what's on the internet, if you're cool with that.
Sure.
Cool.
Go for it.
So here's my attempt of introducing Alex, for Alex, I guess. His full name is Aleksander Leonardo Larsen. He is the co-founder and COO of Sky Mavis, aka a Chief Operating Officer, as well for Axie Infinity on top of that. It was started in early 2018, Axie Infinity. He lives in Oslo, Norway, Europe. I don't know if that's 100% correct, but they're the countries and stuff that I got found on the internet. He doesn't just do this, he's also an angel investor. One of his investments he made was Nansen back in October 27th, 2020, where he raised, it was 1.2 million in the seed round. Early on in his career, he went to Buy Norwegian Business School, so he's definitely a smart guy with a business background. Previous things he has done is a secretary board of directors for a blockchain game alliance, which was part-time for himself back in May 2020 to now. That could be still going on, but we're unsure, but he can clear that up for us later on. He's also done some really cool volunteer work, which I found really cool, which he was a moderator for Crypto Kitties. So that was back in 2017, which I was part of in the crypto space, but unfortunately I didn't get a hold of the Crypto Kitties, which may have inspired him to do Axie Infinity. He's also a minister and co-founder of a company named Dota2.no, which we can sort of have a look at too in the future and ask him as well. Languages he speaks is Bokmål, Norwegian, and English. I've never heard of Bokmål, so maybe that's something I need to learn. And also something recently is obviously the Axie Infinity released their October update, which I'm absolutely loving, these once a month updates, which tells the community what's going on. And I'm sure the community, you guys appreciate it as well. And then, was that about right for your intro of what I found? Is there some bits wrong here and there, or?
I mean, yeah, it's fine. I think to clear some things up. Yeah, I'm still a part of the Blockchain Game Alliance. I'm a part of the board there, also the secretary of the board, so more on the executive team. Try to do some volunteer work still. That's obviously like not paid, where the goal is to, make sure that more people understand what's happening in the blockchain gaming space and that we can maybe help out new games that are coming in. So for me, I mean, with Axie is taking up pretty much all of my time, especially now lately over the past couple of years, but try to give back where it makes sense. And that's also why I do some angel investments, including also YGG, where I'm also an advisor.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That I guess is worth noting.
Yeah, nice. Big fan of YGG, and they're absolutely massive. Now, I'm going to go over, obviously, the October update and some numbers, and we'll get stuck into maybe some Sky Mavis stuff, some business stuff, and then I have a bunch of questions from the community, which you probably already know what they're going to ask, but I'll attempt to ask them again anyways. So this is how we'll do it. So I'm going to run some numbers over, for especially you guys listening as well. But over 25% of the circulating AXS supply is now being staked. They have 2 million daily active users, which is absolutely unheard of in the play to earn. First to ever hit this, and I think they're miles ahead of everyone. Axie remains the #1 application by monthly revenue as of the October update, and I believe they'll be holding that probably for a while. They're absolutely killing it. Their website itself, AxieInfinity.com, is one of the top 500 most popular websites in the world. Wow. Ronin has over $5 billion in assets deposited over the short period of the 2 years, and it's been out absolutely less than that, you could say. And Ronin hit a new record of daily active addresses, which is of 428,536 as of October 4th, so just over a week ago as well. First off, congratulations. I'm sure people always say that to you, but you guys are absolutely killing it. You're first in the space. You are learning along the way like anyone. How does that all feel to you? Like, is it obviously a shock? Are you used to it now? It's just mind-blowing numbers, really.
Yeah, obviously the numbers are pretty crazy when you when you say it out loud like that. I think the good thing about us in the core team, and also me personally, is we've been going through this journey for several years. I mean, we've been working in the crypto space. We see the ups and downs. So we kind of expected that something like this would happen. The level of engagement, the level of, the speed that it happened probably is a little bit unexpected, and just like how high it went, or how high it is. And then I'm starting to, think about it. Well, it does make sense when you think through it, like what is actually happening here. So we're creating a new market. We're doing things that have never been done before, in terms of, so many people have probably wanted to make a game where, players were able to make money, right? And that's never really been possible until just now. And all of these things that we're doing, they're pretty fresh. So you needed to combine the infrastructure, you needed to have, the distribution channel for your own, and you also needed to have a fun game, which people love, and a nice IP. So all of these things, that are combined together makes Axie. And that's also why you see the level of traction. And I think we were just the first people to discover this, and that timing can, never really be replicated. So yeah, it makes sense that we have a lot of traction. But yeah, it's probably become bigger faster than I had thought.
I mean, it's interesting because when you come back to Sky Mavis, you guys started this back in 2018. The first question I sort of have is, like, how did it come about? Did you one day you just wake up and like, let's start a company, Sky Mavis? Or like, did you guys have many meetings, or you just sort of had the trajectory of where you wanted to head? Or how did it all come together early on?
Yeah, so I was late 2017. I played a whole lot of CryptoKitties. I was streaming a little bit. And I was, building communities my entire life before that. But when I discovered CryptoKitties and NFTs, I thought, hey, this is probably going to change the way the games are being played, and the impact for NFTs is going to be massive. I mean, you can probably use them throughout many different games. It's a part of your digital identity. So I wanted to get involved in that space. So I was speaking to the CryptoKitty team, was a moderator there. I figured, maybe I can make a career there. But eventually, their strategy and their decisions, they didn't really make that much sense to me. So I started working for another game studio, a Norwegian one at first, very early in 2018. And at the same time, I was speaking to Trung and Jeff when we were, playing CryptoKitties. We were chatting together. Everyone kind of had the same idea that, hey, this is going to be pretty massive. So over time, we just started chatting, and then Trung said, hey, I'm going to make something here in Vietnam. And I knew he was a great engineer, because he had been helping out a little bit with the current game studio that I was working with. So I was like, okay, that's probably going to be cool. Maybe you want to show it to me. I can give you guys some feedback. So I saw the art, and then I was like, okay, this is probably going to be pretty cute. And I thought the game looked really nice. So he asked if I could be an advisor at first, or actually asked if I could join immediately. And I said, I can't. I'm in Norway. I don't really want to move to Vietnam. Yeah. It's way too far. It's way too risky. So then I said, well, I'll give you guys some advice. And then they had the initial Axie sale, which was a massive success. I think both me and Jeff, we used our networks. We got some very early big players in from the CryptoKitty community, which was great. And then I was like, okay, the impact for something like this is probably going to be larger than the current game studio I was working with, because they were doing something more space related. And I felt like, well, the ambition there is very big, but you really need to crawl. You really need to, walk before you can run.
Yeah.
So I felt like, a digital pet game, which can be played on mobile, which then again has the possibility to educate people about the space, is probably going to be the right path. So then I quit I was working for the state. quit my Norwegian job there, and I quit the other, game studio thing that I was doing, and then I traveled to Vietnam, and I joined to, co-found Sky Mavis, which then again, was incorporated Axie Infinity and everything that was around it into that main company.
Wow, I mean, it goes to show you because, I look at Star Atlas as more of the space thing, which I think is many years away, which is a huge project itself. I guess it makes sense that because it's never been done before back then. It's like, okay, Axie Infinity, it's a lot lower scale than trying to create this whole universe off the bat. You need to test things out before you even get to that level, and I reckon you've made the right decision there. And have you enjoyed the journey so far? Obviously, ups and downs throughout the last couple of years. But is there anything in particular, like the road bumps that you've had, that have really gone, shit, I shouldn't be doing this, I should stop, I need to get another job or something like that? Or you've just always gone, nah, this will work?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I felt like the possibilities in the crypto and NFT space were always really massive. I felt like this would change the world. So even though there was one point we didn't have a lot of money, we always had the core community, and we had these players who loved our vision and who believed in us. So I figured, well, I mean, we could rather reduce our salaries, work harder, see how we can impact something. And when you look back and consider how big Axie Infinity is now, I mean, it's probably even harder to make something like Axie today than it is to make a massive space game, actually. Because all of the pieces that you have to combine to ship this game to market is massive, and it's taken us close to 4 years to get to this point. Of course, some ups and downs. I mean, I wish maybe we didn't spend so much time on the idle battle game that we released, but kind of looking back to that time, it was needed so that players had something to do, and so that people could build more confidence in the game. And I think that's great. And we see the same thing happening sometimes, in the later years of Axie too, where if we don't release something for a longer period of time, people, they get a little bit antsy. They want to see, hey, are there new features coming? When? That's always the question. When is the next thing happening? The answer is very simply, like, we are thinking long term. We want to make sure that Axie Infinity is here to stay, and actually well beyond my lifetime. So that's what we're working towards, and making something of that scope is actually very massive. It takes a long time to get it right.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy job to do. And who thought of the name Sky Mavis? Who came up with the name?
Oh, that's interesting. I actually don't remember who came up with that specifically, because we were discussing all sorts of names, and I think maybe it was maybe Masamune, because we had that body part which is called Sky Mavis.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, this does make sense, because it kind of has a heritage that we have in Axie, but it's also a little bit separate. So we kind of landed on everything, looking at different body parts. But yeah, Sky Mavis also is one of the favorite body parts of many people in the team.
Yeah, I have to. Well, I mean, I would say the same thing. Now let's go through. I'm going to go back to the numbers. You guys are breaking records left, right, center, up, down. It's absolutely insane. You guys just recently did a 152 million Series B fundraise. What's the plans for, obviously, a lot of growth there? Are you expanding the team? What's sort of the plan for the money there to go to Axie Infinity, and what's it going to basically go towards?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and kind of to take a step back, like that's pretty much what I own in Sky Mavis, right? So I'm head of the business side of it. I also push things forward when they are stuck. I consider myself like, sure, I own that, but at the same time, I'm like a janitor when it comes to helping out the rest of the team. If they're stuck in something, I try to see myself, rather than looking from the top down where I'm directing people to do stuff. It's more like, okay, I'm actually facilitating or helping them out if they need help when it comes to the builders. And I think that's a very important distinction. Everyone has their own level of expertise. Mine is more on the business side, and then I help out on other areas. So yeah, for this massive funding round, obviously, when you look at it from an Axie perspective, it's actually very positive, because what it means is that we don't have to sell any AXS tokens to fulfill our vision of the game. So what it means is that we, as a core Sky Mavis team, we actually hold a lot of AXS tokens on our balance sheet, and we are planning to stake that so that we can, keep our incentive up, so that we can keep building for the long term. And I think that's important for people to understand, who are like, oh shit, like these guys have so much money. actually, yeah, we have a lot of money, but a lot of it is bound up in AXS that
Yeah.
we actually don't want to sell because we're so, bullish on the future of the game that we would rather keep our ownership up.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. And holding more of the tokens instead of diluting it to other, I guess, investors is probably the right way to go. And I think that you guys are definitely on a great trajectory over the next months, years, however long people want to sort of say. So I'm excited to see what happens with that 152 million, and obviously it'll just come in dribs and drabs, except growth. And then you obviously have that for runway instead of selling the AXS tokens itself, which is really, really good to hear. It's sort of like should keep, if people don't understand this, it's more so instead of them selling AXS to get the cash to pay for things or whatever, there's less sell pressure, I guess on majority of people's what they worry about with price movements. So they have a cash runway now, which is absolutely massive. And recently you just did the staking thing came out, so congratulations on that. That was I believe around 2 weeks ago now. Any hiccups? How's it all going? Are you happy with what's launched so far? I saw a massive response all over the social media side of things. Everyone's absolutely loving it. So yeah, congrats.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, before kind of going to staking, to round off that part on the cash
Sure.
runway and what exactly the money is being spent on, I think the way we see it, obviously 152 million is a lot of money, but what it just means is that Sky Mavis is here to stay. We're going to get the best people in the world to work for this company, and honestly, we already see so much inbound from some of the most talented people that I've ever seen. I mean, they're much better than me, and that's exactly what we need to actually, bring this game to the masses. Like, we can't always be, niche. Like, if we're going to reach our goal where we want to hit, 2 billion players, like, we actually need so many more talented people, and that's a part of what this money is going for. And at the same time, when we look at, the treasury for, let's say, the Axie DAO treasury, it also means that we can take a little bit longer until we have to distribute that out to the holder. So that's going to have a little bit more time to grow further. So when it comes to the staking itself, I think one of the most successful launches that we ever had. Obviously, it was a long time coming, and the product that was shipped is more of an MVP. And when I say that, I think the long-term vision for staking is that we want to make sure that the people who are staking the AXS token, right? The part of what they're doing is they're signaling to the market that, hey, we believe in the Axie Infinity game so much that we're actually willing to hold the token and we're willing to lock it up for a period of time. So that's why you get rewarded. But at the same time, the rewards that you are getting should also, be equal to the level of, maybe that you are adding more value to the game rather than just money. And when I think about that, I like to say that, well, we might need an off-chain action. On that off-chain action might be, let's say, if you're playing the game or if you're tweeting or if you're streaming, like all of these things will eventually, add up to the level of rewards that you will be able to earn every day. So rather than just, hey, I'm staking, I'm clicking restake every day, that's cool. But, maybe you will have to do something else. Of course, this is easier said than done. And rather than, let's say, dying on that hill, so we needed to ship that feature immediately, we figured that, well, we're just going to ship the staking feature and then iterate as we go. And I think that's general the way that we look at feature shipping in Sky Mavis, that if you can get something out today that works, that's safe, that pushes the envelope a little bit, that's nice, and then eventually we can iterate and build on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great product, and you'll never see a company or anything just launch all the features all at once and like, yep, this is amazing, everything works. I think the gradual steps make sense in everyone's eyes as well. With the AXS token, with the staking and stuff, I assume there'll be governance and so on and so forth down the line. What does that sort of look like in the plans for you?
Yeah, so what I'm excited about in terms of governance is, of course, eventually to, as Axie Infinity is becoming a full decentralized organization, that's obviously still the end goal. And those who are holding the AXS token will eventually be able to vote on, let's say, at first, very basic subjects. So, I mean, what color should that be? Like, what should we do in this direction? But as time passes, that level of decision making will become larger and larger as we in the core team have set more of the firm rules. So this goes kind of back into some design choices that we have. So the way that I see our role in Sky Mavis is very much in terms of we are setting the core vision. We see that, okay, this is the future that we're heading to. It's going to take maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years to get there. But progressively, as we go along, we're going to be reducing our ability to impact the framework or the game world itself. And one very basic thing to look at that is, let's say, the Mystic Axies, for example, or Origin Axies, right? They are limited edition. That's already been put in stone in a smart contract. But at the same time, you can say that, well, what about the rest of the Axies? Why aren't they set in stone? That's simply because we need more time so that we can figure out like what is happening in the long term here. The same also goes for SLP and every other type of token. So there are more things that we need to discover, that we need to learn, that we need to experiment with. And that's also the way that we see it. Like, so maybe in 5-10 years, like there will be massive amounts of decision making to make for those who are holding the AXS token. But initially, I also think it's a little bit scary to give up too much power to the community, because you would have
chaos, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, so you have incentives, right? Incentives drives human behavior. That's a very business-minded economic thing to say, but it's also very obvious. So if I as a person can make a decision that leads me to get more money, but then again the larger ecosystem might potentially lose, well, my incentive is misaligned with the long-term vision for the game itself.
Yeah.
So I will make a decision that benefits me, but that does not benefit the whole of the ecosystem. And that very much goes against our thesis of the game and what everything is about, what we're trying to make here. And I think that's very important, that when we ship features, we need to make sure that the incentives are aligned between both the developers of the game and the players and the investors. And we see that sometimes that isn't perfect, especially when we look at SLP, for example. So we still have some ways to improve there.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Great answer there. And will Sky Mavis always stick around in the future? So say, let's look at 5 years. Axie's going really well, and it sort of makes time to slowly dwindle away, and then sort of let sort of a community run it, or the AXS token holders. Will Sky Mavis dissolve down like something like Terra and Luna will do, or will they stick around doing other little games, or yeah? What's sort of the plans for Sky Mavis at that point?
Sky Mavis as a company,
yeah,
I think that the potential here is to be the largest game company or game studio in the world.
Oh, wow.
And that's what we're trying to do. And that means, of course, that we might ship more features, different type of games, different type of products. Like, for example, the DEX that's coming out, that's also a product of Sky Mavis. But, Sky Mavis also has the potential to do more than games. Like, we can publish other games or work with other game studios and publish them on the Mavis Hub, for example, if they want to use the Ronin blockchain. I think that's very exciting, because we have all these users, and if we can then distribute some amazingly fun games or following the same thesis that we have, like, so what do we believe is best for the users? Do these new game studios that are coming in have the same, do they feel the same level of responsibility, right? I think that's one of the more important things. You will not find Sky Mavis, for example, issuing 10,000 new Mystic Axies or inflating the ecosystem with a lot of weird tokens if it doesn't make sense. And I think that level of partnership is what we need for us to actually work with another game studio. So I think that's interesting. And at the same time, what I want to do and what we want to do is provide services for players who are onboarded into Sky Mavis, or the kind of the Mavis Hub and through Axie Infinity, where they can actually tap into financial services. And I think that's just been made possible by the fact that we're building on top of the Ethereum virtual machine, so that anyone who is actually getting an account in Axie Infinity, they're also having a Sky Mavis account, and that account then is, of course, it has a wallet, so that means that they can eventually tap into financial services. So I'm super excited about that.
And that's interesting, because in the Western world, or Australia, America, wherever you want to guys say that is, it's normal to have a bank account. And I think people sometimes forget that crypto, obviously a lot of people don't know much about crypto and wallets, that they're actually getting access to, that they have a digital wallet, which is a new sort of thing over the last, I guess, couple of years. And it sort of changes people's lives in a different way than just the Western world, where that could be their bank, or that's where they could hold funds or value of such.
Yeah, exactly. So everything is about, where do people start their journey in the financial ecosystem? So for us, when we look at Axie, it's a very natural beginning for a lot of people who have been excluded from the general financial ecosystem. They haven't been able to get a bank account. And even in America, there are so many people who haven't had it. So that's why we are trying to educate people about this. And there's also, a lot of ups and downs here, because people don't understand, what does it mean to own the private key? They keep sending information out, and they keep getting
Yeah.
scammed, obviously, which is super sad. So one of the things that we try to do is always educate them. What does it mean? You have your private key, you have your seed phrase. Don't give it out to anyone. If you lose it, that's actually on you. Which is harder and easier said than done. But it's
Yeah.
going to be just a couple of interesting years as we keep doing that.
And if anyone's listening here and you're onboarding friends new to crypto or anything like that, I urge you guys to sort of train or teach your friends about what private keys are. Hold them off. Don't write them down on like your computer or give them away to anyone. I think it's a thing that we need to teach everyone that's new coming in, because if you're new and this thing, crypto itself is very overwhelming. So I think if we can train people the best not to sort of give out private information or anything like that, you'll be helping your friends and anyone else you onboard into this community.
Yeah,
Now,
these
yeah, go ahead.
exactly right. I think there is a level of responsibility that unfortunately people have to have right now. In the future, as we scale, things will get easier. You will get like better education as you begin playing the game, and maybe in the future you won't even have to control your own private key. That there will be other services on top who will help you do that. But that's not necessarily something that we in Sky Mavis are focusing right now,
Yeah.
because it opens up another regulatory concern, right? And that's
Yeah.
also not so sexy to talk about, but in reality it's a lot of what I spend my time on, because to make something like this really work, you need to be conscious of what other people, like what other governments are thinking about you, what other governments are thinking about the game. And that's also why it's great to have some of these world-class investors on board, because now they're on our side. And that means that they also have to help us figure out, like, hey, what's happening here? Suddenly the various governments around the world, they're looking at blockchain games, and they don't like it that
Yeah.
people can suddenly make money inside the game, that they're taking a step out of the physical world. I think these are real problems. These are things that I spend my time thinking about, and I think it's very natural that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have to agree with you. I think that something has to obviously be in place, or something will happen in the future, whether it's another company or whatever, a DAO or whatever. But someone will hold. There will be like a bank. I see in the future that they will hold assets for you, and I know exactly like you said, it's not a very popular thing to talk about with the whole if you don't own your private keys, you don't own your money or something like that. But even with banks, like right now, we put our money in, they hold it. There's less stress. There's no there's no fraud or anything. You can always access your money. So I think in the future that will probably play itself out over the next couple of years. Are you worried then in terms of speaking on that? Like, obviously you have this scholarship program thing that's came about from Axie Infinity, and I see thousands of different companies or whatever you want to say trying to replicate Axie Infinity, and they always reference Axie Infinity. Are you worried with the scholarship program that because a lot of them would be taking, I guess, money out of the economy in Axie Infinity itself? Does that ever worry you that it's for the wrong reasons some people are in it for, or it doesn't really matter?
No, I mean, so what I think is, like, generally speaking, most PR is great PR. I mean, people, like, when we look at growth, right, we need to see that there's an awareness phase where people hear about Axie, they want to learn about it. A lot of people might think that, hey, this sounds really impossible. Like, how does this work? How is, like, it's mind blowing. People
Yeah.
are, they don't get it. So we really need to get that awareness phase. People need to hear about Axie many, many times, and then it's fine that they're referencing us, because it's so hard to make a sustainable ecosystem that I'm not too concerned about potential competitors who are coming up. And what I actually hope is that we can make it easier for them to make and ship a game, because they will also expand the market. But at the same time, there is only one Axie. There will only ever be, as I said, that timing, the special, connection that we have with the early players, with the community, with, for example, people like you who are creating content, who we obviously care about. And I think it's so important for us to that's also why I'm coming here, so that I can say that, hey, I mean, I do support your work. I think it's great. And I think for us, that I would rather focus more on that than, the potential competitors,
Yeah.
so that we can actually say that as Sky Mavis as a company is growing, yeah, there will be more games. It's a long-term game. Everything we do is thinking long-term here. So I think Naval said it. He's like one of the more famous business people and also an angel investor. It's like, play long-term games with long-term people. The reputation that you have in the space is generally everything. So that's why I'm super careful about whenever we're making an agreement or whenever we're saying something, we really stick to that. And I think it's about loyalty as well. And what I think is that Axie Infinity has such a massive loyal following because we've changed so many lives in the world that that's why I also believe that, for example, these Mystic Axies and some of the very early collectibles will have a place in people's hearts forever. And I'm really excited to see how this will evolve over time, especially as we keep growing and as we keep shipping features, right?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think my favorite line there was, "There'll only ever be one Axie," and that's so true. Because people can try and compete with and do the same thing, but it doesn't mean they're going to win in the space. Now, I thought I'd get to the part of the AMA/podcast. I got a bunch of questions throughout, obviously Twitter and all these other things. These are pretty much fast questions, I would say. It doesn't have to go into too much depth. Some of them you've heard a million times, some you haven't. Some will be really weird, some will be normal, and I guess you could guess some other ones as well. So we're going to dive into this. Answer if you wish. Don't have to if you don't want to as well, obviously. But what does a day in the life look like for Alex? What does he do?
Wow. So every day is very different, I would say. Of course, as an executive in one of the fastest growing companies in the world right now, I would say, I try to make some time to hit the gym. Unfortunately, I really just can't find the time to it. So first thing I do, I get up, I read some emails, make sure that there is nothing massive that's happened overnight while I was sleeping. And since I'm in Norway right now, when I wake up, it's been like the Asian crowd has already been working for 6 hours or so. And that's where we have the base of our company. So that's where all the product designers are. So I wake up, I quickly read our Discord, because that's what we use to communicate internally. So we have our own company Discord. So I make sure that I check all the channels. Is there something that happened that I need to do? And then also check all my emails to see if there's something very important that I had that suddenly randomly needs to be dealt with. And if there isn't, then I generally, have a weekly set of goals and, specific meetings every day with some, key stakeholders that might be different teams that we're working with. And then eventually, have that, main target for the week. So over the past, let's say, 6 to 8 months, my main target has been to raise funds. So that means for the Series A round at first, and now the Series B. Now that that's rounding out, I might focus more on hiring. So who else are we getting into the various squads? What does esports look like? So, that's very, the general way that I structure my day. And then I try to be very light on scheduling meetings, because if I don't keep that very serious, I'm going to end up in meetings every day. So we get so all the time, literally 12 hours a day, I could do meetings, and that's really not conducive to getting any serious work done. And so I try to, slot out specific areas of the day where I can, do deep levels of focus. If I have something that I have to ship, let's say, now I'm working on some stuff for the board, it's very grown up stuff, for example. And then we have intellectual property rights. I mean, this is not so, as I said, maybe not so interesting for players, but this is a serious thing that needs to be handled on the company side.
But it has to be done so Sky Mavis and Axie Infinity to come about. And by the way, you're killing your job because you raised 152 million for Series B. So you're doing something right there. The next one is who's better at the game, you or Jeff?
Oh, that's probably Jeff, because I don't have much time to play right now. I think Jeff is playing a little bit more than me.
Yeah.
But as an ex-competitive gamer, I feel like I have an edge on Jeff in every game if we just spend the same amount of time on it. But I mean, I haven't had time to really play Axie lately. I'm really looking forward to releasing Axie Origin though, and then playing a little bit more.
Could we see in the future a Jeff versus Alex, some sort of live stream or something, play best rounds of 5 or in the future?
I mean, Jeff actually used to do that in the past, not with me specifically, but with some other guys in the community. I wouldn't say that it's impossible. Jeff and me, we used to cast the first Axie Infinity games, the live streams or the tournaments back in the day. So it's pretty funny. I'm not sure if that's ever going to happen, but maybe in a special type of situation. To be honest, I think of myself as I like to be a little bit more in the background, and I kind of step into the light sometimes when it is required. But maybe I can see Jeff doing more show matches of that kind.
Sure. What's your favorite card in the game, if you have one?
Oh,
and try not to slip any Origin stuff.
Reason I felt like that was amazing.
Which one, sorry?
Very early on. And one of the my favorite Axies, I think it's the number 69. It's I think it's the first bird. Let me just check it out. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that it is number 69 that I own. It has that part, and I always used to play with it. Let me just double check that so I don't make any mistakes there. But I'm almost 99% certain. Yeah, it is the first bird ever. It has tiny dino, so I love to use that. My tiny swing, I guess, is the card name. Specifically with that body part is my favorite, just due to the fact that how it works. And then it got nerfed, so kind of
did you yell at Jeff?
kind of sad, but yeah, I still like that part.
And your most hated card?
Oh, is that Gravel Ant, the one that disables the melee users? I think so.
Yeah, I think the whole community is just like, yes, I agree. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
The next one was, how long do you play Axie for every day? Obviously busy, so we've already been through that anyway. How many... This is a weird question. I guess you could word it a different way, but how many crits are happening in the arena right now? I assume it's more so like... is the crits getting nerfed, or like is there something looking at soon in the future would be probably more...
yeah, that's not the stat that I am focused on at all. Like that's more on the product side. I do see complaints about critical strikes. I can't say anything specific about it because that people might take that as, oh, it's going to be nerfed, hey, it's going to be buffed. Like to me, that's something that I see, and as a gamer who likes things to be more fair, I would prefer if crits were reduced somewhat. And then I guess we'll see if the data agrees with me or differently or disagrees. But yeah, that I guess is it for that.
Sure. So incoming, the next bit, you're going to probably hate all of them, but here we go all at once. Oh, there's a couple of nice questions in here. First of all, you might not know this because you're more the business and the top-down sort of person, but there's a versus friends function, I believe, where you can verse friends. I actually haven't seen this because I've only been playing for about 3 months, but is that coming back in the future? Is there plans or scrapped?
Yes, it's coming back. I mean, obviously we need, as an esports, like as a lover of esports, right? And even played competitive games, like one of the basic things that we need is the ability to challenge others and the ability to make tournaments without being on the esports server. So that's something that we have been discussing for a long time. It's just, it's quite hard when you're shipping many features at the same time. And sometimes you need to, some features need to yield. And that one was one that was it messed up a little bit of things internally. So that's why we made the esports server for now. But the idea is that anyone will be able to make their own tournaments inside Axie eventually, and then we think that can be pretty big.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting, especially for the esports side of things. I think esports is going to be massive, and once this whole COVID stuff is over and people can do face-to-face things, I can picture like a meetup where it's going to be absolutely crazy, and you could see reactions throughout everyone for one of the games and whatnot. Another one we've got here is how fun is land on a scale of 0 to 10? Because obviously you've played it, I believe. That's what they're assuming here. How fun is it?
I mean, I thought land was amazing when I played it last time. So I think the progress on land is nice. I think the art is great. So, I mean, I can't really say more than that.
Yeah, sure. Any new Axie classes in the future that you know of? Obviously, you don't have to say if there is or isn't, but again, one of these questions.
No comment on that.
No comment, we'll sure. Yeah.
We'll see what
that's
see what happens.
I believe there could be a couple of these coming up.
Feel free to ask. I'm just going to say no. I mean, I'm pretty good at saying no. So, I mean, or good. Maybe.
No, because if I don't ask from the community, they'll be upset at me. And I guess this is a community-based game. So next one we have up here is Christmas is just around the corner, I believe, 2 months or so. Are you guys thinking of anything for doing something Christmassy at all?
Maybe.
That's a yes, chat. I'm going to take that as yes.
I mean, we did the last two Christmases.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible, but maybe now it could be something different could be done or not. Yep. Like, I guess we'll see. There are a lot of discussions about the future of breeding, different kind of events, what will happen there, especially now as we have a more firm infrastructure.
Yep. This one is basically what it is. Will season 19 first or Battles V2?
Season 19, of course. So, yeah.
Season 19, okay. The next one we have iPhone. Obviously, I mean, I've asked Jeff this before, so I assume it wouldn't be much different. But iOS on iPhone, they want the game through the App Store. I believe you guys have finished the testing on that, or test flight. How's it looking? In other words, would be a nicer question.
It's actually not related to test flight itself or testing or anything like that. It's just like when you are publishing a game like Axie on the App Store, there are certain risks involved, and there are certain challenges when you are like building in the creator economy and on Web3. So that means that, let's say if we want players to trade Axies among each other, like what happens there? Can we put that inside the application? What happens if we're linking out from the main game to the other one? That's one thing that maybe not work. But one of the most important things is like when you are shipping something on the App Store, right, you get a lot of eyes of people who don't know anything about Axie. And you might only get that chance once. And if you then come into the Axie game, you download it, and then you suddenly see it. I don't even have an Axie. What do I do? Like, there is no tutorial. There is no anything. So it would defeat its purpose to release anything now before we have those things ready. So it's just not going to happen until we have that.
Yeah. I guess this, I mean, like you already know this, but like everyone's asking. So maybe I just ask you, SLP, thoughts on the whole sort of everything. Like I think it's fine, everything, but maybe just a summary of SLP. The community, it seems to be their most popular thing, obviously, because that's how they make money. But if you could do some sort of summary for SLP.
Yeah, so what I find interesting about SLP is, we don't sell it. Every single SLP that's in creation is a product of human, interaction with the game, or ideally should be. There might be some bots. Obviously, we're banning their assets, but that means to me that SLP is actually sometimes, or in some countries, more valuable than fiat currencies if you consider what's happening when you look at inflation, right? So that's kind of one way of looking at it. And then I would say, when we think of the utility for SLP, it was always said that this has one use case, and that is for breeding of Axies. And back in the day, that when you consider how costly it is to breed an Axie, you say if Axie, the breeding Axie, is a bar like this, initially maybe SLP was costing about like 80% of that bar, and you had a small bar, or a small part of the bar, which was the fee that the company took in terms of the Ethereum fee. So once we changed that, we went to Ronin, we changed it to the AXS part of it. It was also quite a small part of the fee. And then eventually, as the AXS token started increasing in price, it takes a bigger portion of the breeding fee, which then again also, gives the company or the treasury maybe too much of a stake of that, of the breeding transaction. So what we're looking for right now is maybe to balance it out a little bit, so that the SLP versus AXS is more, algorithmically decided. And that means that, let's say that we want to say that, okay, SLP is always going to be 50%. Now, this is a number that I made up right now, and AXS 50%. Like, that's going to happen probably sometime in the future, but it takes a little bit of time to ship these features, since we're on the bleeding edge. And this is nothing new. This is also mentioned, repeatedly in the updates that we have. I think, maybe the last one, when we said, how we are looking at the metrics for this. We're working with some very talented people. Of course, we're going deep down into the data. So that I guess is everything I have to say about SLP. But of course, we care a lot about SLP. I even had a massive, one of the few tweet threads I have almost ever about SLP.
Yeah, I mean, I think the community needs to understand that it's a long-term vision. They do monthly updates. Have a read of you guys, if you see the Axie Infinity Twitter page, if you're on it, or even in their Discord, there is a monthly update that happens. If you read through that, it sort of tells you what's happened in the last month or what's coming up. It gives you a really good oversight of it all. And it's not like Axie Infinity or Sky Mavis just goes, yeah, SLP, whatever. It's not how it really works. It needs to be sustained for the game. So yeah, guys, if you want to see updates, go check out the monthly update, which recently just came out about a couple of days ago, guys. So go check it out. The Ronin DEX is around the corner. I don't need a date or anything, which no one would ever give anyway. It is the blockchain, but I'll switch it to, are you excited for Ronin DEX? What sort of changes when it does come out, or what's going to be implemented for the DEX if people don't know what a DEX does?
Yeah, so a DEX is basically a decentralized exchange for fungible tokens, or in a gamified way of, or when you look at it from a game side, it just basically means that, you know, you can now have a marketplace for AXS, SLP, Ether, you know, potential other future game assets like wood, like stone, all of that stuff, you know, can be built on top of a decentralized exchange. So that means that, you know, if you have a DEX on the bottom, you might have another interface on the top, which then again could look like a marketplace inside World of Warcraft.
Love that game,
I think
by the way.
that's the way that I would position it for new people who have no idea what a DEX really does. So what it means is we can just make advanced marketplace features so that players who want AXS or SLP, they will very easily be able to buy it from the market, which is where, you know, another part of the, you know, of the ecosystem comes in, and that might be the investors or the traders, like, who want to provide the pairs. So some people might not even know what liquidity is, right? So that's when you, it's getting a little bit hard sometimes to explain it at a very high level. But what you can say is that for a trade to happen, there needs to be both sides of the table, right? You need to have both the people who are buying and both the people who are selling. And the way a DEX works is that, you know, they provide those base pairs so that you can do it automatically without needing to have an intermediary or someone in the middle who is, you know, facilitating that trade. So it's a little bit advanced, but, you know, at a very high level, it just means that we can make it a more advanced marketplace features for players.
And will there be fees on this, or is it through the Ronin?
So that's going to be, the DEX is going to be on Ronin.
Okay, so no fees at all, or for like 100 transactions or something.
The Ronin token might come in the future, and that, you know, it's probably going to be a small fee, but you know, not much.
So basically, the way I look at it, chat, is you can literally go to this the DEX and pretty much trade your SLP for AXS or wood for stone, or as long as there's another buyer on the other end, when there's obviously millions of players, you guys won't have to probably transact and take it all the way to Binance or somewhere else and pay this huge Ethereum gas fee. I know that's what you guys care about a lot. So you're in one place, minimal fees, and you can change everything you want to anything in the game. So it's going to be super, super helpful for everyone who's been collecting SLP or wants something else within the game. So it's going to be very, very exciting, and it is just around the corner, guys. So yeah, not far now. There's some land stuff, but I feel like land's sort of irrelevant in my eyes for now. I think that's just in the future. It's coming along nicely. I love the update. I see some of the previous gameplay as well. If there's anything you want to say about land at all, or
I mean, yeah, the last time we had the land, you know, release is some time ago. So, you know, it could look a little bit different. Yeah, I guess we'll see about that.
Yeah, cool. There's only a couple of questions to go, and then we'll wrap this up. Bubble card. This is someone shooting for the stars here, but bubble card, what does it do?
I mean, I'm not gonna answer that. That you just have to wait and see.
Oh, I love it. And I think that's really sum up most of the questions that the community wants to know. And then I'll ask finally, is there any secret leaks or anything you could share with the community at all, whether it's small or big? They're just wanting to know.
I already said some small things here for those who want to, you know, but nothing massive. Obviously, like the way that we see Axie is that, you know, since people can trade on it, we try to disseminate information at the same time, at least the most important stuff. Or we try to follow the roadmap as best we can. So, I mean, I prefer to not, you know, let people speculate too deeply on what's happening. And we can announce it on our public channel. So I guess Jeff is even becoming like a massive public channel now on his own Twitter. So.
Well, look, I do appreciate you coming past, and thank you for answering all these questions. It sort of puts, I guess, the community at ease as well. It just goes to show you guys that this isn't a very small project. They're looking towards the future to sort of sum this up. I know a lot of you guys think SLP and land and all these things, it's all coming in due time. You would hate something to be rushed. Imagine if it was rushed and then it was like all like there's bugs everywhere and whatnot. These things takes time. So if you stick with Axie Infinity, I think you're on a great road to success, or just play a game that you want to play. Like I think people overthink it with the money side of things, and like, I need to make money, I need to make this. Guys, if you like Axie for what it is, play it, and the money is sort of like a bonus thing in my eyes. And I do understand in some other countries it is a substantial amount of money, but try and enjoy the ride, enjoy the game and everything about it. I do have to give away 1,000 SLP. I don't know if you have the chat up on your screen at all, but if you feel comfortable, it's up to you if you want to do this. If you want to pick one person at random, a name, and they will win 250 SLP. So chat, if you're here, type in the chat, and Alex will pick someone at random if he wants to.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type something in the chat, and the person who types below me,
Sure.
that's going to be the winner.
All right, chat. Whoever types what Alex writes first.
Oh, did I not? Maybe I have to follow. Let's see.
Let me know when you write it, and I'll have a quick look for it.
There we go. I wrote it just now.
Oh shit.
Yeah, the winner is Myron Grace. He says
Myron Grace? Oh, yeah. Did you do a bunch of emojis?
Yeah.
I love that. Was easy to see, right? Myron Grace, congratulations. You won 250 SLP from Alex. Please DM me on Twitch and I will send you over the 250. Myron Grace, please DM me on Twitch. Well, any closing thoughts? Alex, thank you for coming on. I know you're a busy guy. You're a legend. And same with you and Jeff. I love what you guys are doing. And if there's any help that I can bring to you guys at any point, please let me know. But any closing or final thoughts? And guys, make sure you follow him on Twitter, Discord, all that fun sort of social media stuff. And same with Axie, which I'm sure a lot of you are.
Yeah, I'm almost closing in on 80K followers on Twitter, and I'm not even good at Twitter, so I do blame Axie for that. So that's obviously great. No,
yeah.
I guess final thoughts. You know, as you mentioned, if you come at it from a perspective of, hey, I'm only here to extract as much money as I possibly can, you're probably gonna have a tough time because things are going up and down. And what we find is that those who have long-term belief in Axie, they've generally been rewarded, or they've generally been able to make it. So of course, I mean, I know that level of conviction is hard to find sometimes, but I can't do it for you. You have to find that, on the inside of yourself. Like, is this something for you? Are you willing to, be here when we're building, when we're trying to make this into something amazing for the long term? And if you are, that's great. If you're not, well, I mean, I totally understand that too. You can come back a little bit later. But if you are still going to be here, then that's great. We welcome you all to the community, and we think it's going to be a very fun couple of years.
Awesome. Love your work, Alex. Guys, go follow him on Twitter. Go harass him in the comments. And I'll make sure we do this again in the future over the next couple of months as things come out as well, and try and get you and Jeff on. But yeah, thank you so much, my man. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Alex.
Bye.